Hey, boys and girls, we're going to go over our pick'ems. So, first off, we'll go with my pick'ems. I already did these on my stream, but I'll redo them for you. So, I'm one of those guys, it's go big or go home. So, I never go with like what I would consider the most safe or optimal, whatever you want to say, picks. I usually go for like kind of middle ground, a little bit of risk, but like if you get lucky or an upset happens, and you're more likely to win. So if you're going for the percentage plays, probably don't copy me. um, this is just my logic. When it comes to like BO1s, which is most of the group, I know that elimination and finals games can be BO3s, but generally most of the matches are going to be BO1s for the start. I think Big is a team that thrives in BO1s. My logic for Big is also the fact that I think Big, after playing with Tabson or having played versus Tabson and God B, I think Tabson still has that God B spirit in them, where they have really good utility usage, and with the new nade changes, I think there's a good chance that Big is going to be one of the better better teams to utilize those changes. I mean, I think a lot of people have probably saved any cool things they've done with the nade drops and some of the changes, maybe on Dust 2, for example, with the mid doors. I haven't seen a ton of teams really completely abuse it, so I'm thinking that all the new shit we're going to see is going to be at the major. So I'm kind of BO1's new nade things that no one's ever seen gives a big boost to big. That's just my logic. So we'll see. We'll see if I'm right. Now, for these picks, um, I'm I think Ents is really good personally. I think Ents is really good. Heroic is probably the safest 3-0 pick in my mind. If you wanted to put a safer pick here, Heroic, well, they just scaved by on dodging the bans, so that's got to be getting their spirits up. Obviously, having that kind of burden lifted off of you has got to feel pretty good. They're also an amazing team. I think they're likely to be the new type of Astralis at this event. They're very similar play styles, very calculated, a lot of good protocols, a lot of good teamwork. There's not a lot of like solo plays or relying on one person to kind of take over a game as you might see on a G2 or something like that. So I think when it comes down to Heroic, they're a very safe 3-0 pick. The only downside to Heroic is the last, couple lands we've seen. I don't think they've really looked 100% compared to their online selves. We've seen similar things with Gambit a little bit. So, other than the land nerves maybe getting to them a little bit, the prestigious major that everyone wants to win, I think that's the only downside I really see. Other than that, I think they're the safest pick for 3-0. Next would maybe be Ents. I don't know, man. I've watched a few Ents demos. I think they're really good. I think they have a pretty good map pool. I think they have a very good play style. They have very skilled players. I don't know. I don't. For some reason, I just got like a lot of faith in Ents at this event. I don't know. They're kind of my like. I wouldn't really call them a dark horse, for example, but I definitely don't like. There's not a lot of people that are like Ents is going to win the major. Like it's mostly like Navi, Gambit, stuff like that, right? Heroic, that kind of stuff. Like those are the ones people are kind of like thinking might win. So yeah, Ents and Heroic are definitely good picks there. Now, Spirit. I don't know. The weird thing about Spirit is they've replaced their IGL chopper with someone else for after the LAN. Apparently, that's what my stream was telling me. I don't know if this is 100% true. Now, there's two things that can happen here. One is they completely suck. They're terrible, and they just get knocked out 0-3. Personally, I don't think that's going to happen. A lot of times, what happens when a team is making a change and they have skilled players, they play a lot looser. Sorry. So what does that mean? That means that instead of like getting a kill and being like, oh, I should play the numbers, fall back, drop a smoke, they might go for two. They might walk through a smoke when they shouldn't. They might do a couple more grimy plays, if they do that, their skills on, they're a very good upset team. It's very dangerous to play a team at a major that has nothing to lose. Like if they don't, everyone cares about losing and going out in a major, but when you're making a roster change or something might be changing in your lineup after the event, it can change the fundamentals of the team a little bit. So I was looking at their Steam hours. Degster and Mir both have over 100 hours in 2 weeks, so they're clearly grinding a lot. Degster and Mir and Magic, when they're all three of them are on, they'll have amazing aim. They got to be all three of those guys can contend with top 10 level players. I think Mir, when he's on, is essentially like just as good as Nico. A little bit less. He's not even less consistent, really, if you think about it. He's definitely, for how aggressive he is, he's really good, man. Like, Mir is who I thought maybe Navi might get before they got bit, which turned out to be an amazing pickup, obviously. So, I'm glad they did that. I mean, for the 03, Sharks. I mean, I don't know. What else can I say? Sorry, guys. I mean, Sharks are pretty badass, but we play on land over here. On land, not land. Terrible joke, I know. Unsubscribe. Don't watch me. Um, after after that, it gets a little bit more complicated for me because there's a lot of cool teams here that I really like. Okay, Godsent. I don't know, dude. We're going big. Like I said, we're going bigger. We're going home. Um, is there a smarter choice than Godsent? Yeah, probably. Astralis, I don't know, major, 4 times major winners on the team. Zonik still coaching, highly motivated, still looking to prove themselves a bit, show that like I think Device leaving them kind of lights a fire under some of their asses too, so it's not, I don't think they're just going to go in there and roll over. Plus you got to remember if you get, top if you make it out of groups and you make quarters or whatever, you get the legend spot. I don't know if they're still doing that for the next majors. It's been 2 years. I don't know how all the rules changed, or if they have at all. So I'm kind of just talking out of my ass there. Then the last two are really hard for me, honestly. Like you can make a case for Copenhagen, Flames, Entropic kind of being upset teams, but I think VP is good. I know they made a roster change right before the LAN, but again, it's one of the I'm going for the go big or go home picks. So the go big or go home picks is more like, well, no one can really watch demos on them because none exist. No one's going to have had a ton of practice for some because they're not going to be scrimming Navi 15 times in a row if they're smart. Before the major because Navi's the most likely person they're going to end up playing if they want to win it. But they might scrim them a couple times. I don't know. I don't like scrimming teams that you're gonna or your direct competition right before a LAN. And if you do, you can kind of hide stuff too. And then you get down to where should you pick Mouse or FaZe? I'm going with FaZe Clan. I think all the tweets and how happy and how motivated everyone seemed to be after Nico essentially brought them to the to the major. I think they're going to be working really hard. I think Kerrigan's the type of person to really abuse the new Dust 2 changes, the nade drops and stuff. That is in the back of my mind a little bit. So these are kind of my picks. I always got to have Brazilian team. Brazilians love Counter-Strike. They're amazing at it, just like CIS regions. Like these guys are. I will tell you one thing. From being in North America and playing versus all of these Brazilians in FPL, in Pro League, Face It, whatever, my whole life pretty much, these guys don't give up, okay? The one thing, whether you like Brazilian CS or not, the one thing you got to respect from Brazilians is I've had so many 14-9 leads, 14-7s versus them where they like almost win or like bring it to OT and beat us. And it's like, I don't get that same sort of resilience from non-top 5 teams generally. Like in NA, most of the time when you have like a 14-7 lead, you still try, but you kind of feel like you've won. You know what I mean? And like usually you do. That's not a great mindset to have, but when I was playing on like C9, TSM and stuff, when we had that lead, everyone on my team would be so happy and the other team would be so emo that it just felt like we rarely ever lost big leads like that. Now, obviously, when you start playing those Strauses and Navis of the world, they easily can come back and beat you. But Brazilians, it doesn't matter if they're like a tier 2, tier 3, tier 1 Brazilian team. It doesn't matter. They all try really hard. Like, they won one round. They're all screaming at land. They're fucking hyped, throwing their hats off. You know what I mean? Like, they're just yelling, and they bring it back. You know, they're a very passionate region. So, um, I don't know. I just did a rant on why Brazilians are hard to beat. I don't know why I did that. But, anyways, Brazilians, God sent. They're my Brazilian team. Yeah, these are my picks. Maybe they're bad. Probably. I'm pretty bad. So, I mean, there we go. Those are my picks. Mouse Sports, why some of you could be like, oh, why don't you pick Mouse? I don't know, man. I just got this feeling. I just got a feeling they're going to do bad. You ever get a feeling? Some of us get feelings. Not everyone. But most of us. Most of us have feelings. So, I'm going with my feelings here. And, yeah, I definitely think. I don't know. I just don't have high hopes for Mouse. I don't really know why. Then you got Tai Lu. I heard they weren't boot camping. I don't know if that's true. They're definitely the best team in China. It is BO1s. If the teams are dumb and play them on like Mirage and Inferno, which Chinese teams have notoriously been good on since 1.6, maybe they can have some upsets. I definitely think they're good enough to beat like Sharks, Pain, Renegades, like some of the lower teams, not really having any offense to these teams. But like movie star riders are going to be more prepared than them. I think they're going to be better. They live in Europe. You know, like there's just too many teams that are really good that I just can't see Tyloo doing that well. Renegade's kind of the same thing. Like I just don't see it. Like I don't think they're bad or anything. It's no disrespect to them. I don't know. Entropique, they're fairly good. They have a couple maps they're really good on. So this is definitely a dark horse team that could upset some people. They've almost beat Navi on Nuke, and we've all seen how good Navi is on Nuke. They were the only team to beat Navi, I think, about a month ago. So yeah, I mean, depending on the maps that they get, I could definitely see them scraping some wins, maybe getting out of the groups. Like I could see like one of these two teams kind of sneaking out if it's a good weekend, you know, because you got to remember this is Counter Strike too. If some of your players just show up and they're on fire, magical things can happen. That's the cool thing about Counter Strike. You know, you play Dota, you play League of Legends, you go down at the start of the game, really hard to come back. Not saying it's impossible. These guys are nuts at the game, but in Counter Strike, you got a Deagle, no armor, and a dream. You can make it happen. The same thing is not possible in some of those other games. I don't care what anyone says. You can't be a support player in Dota and 1v5 another team. It just doesn't happen. You know, like Rubik's over here stealing abilities and getting fucking his booty cheeks clapped. It doesn't work. You know. So, yeah, Pain Gaming. You could make a case for Pain Gaming as well. I think. They got Safi's pretty good. I didn't like their recent results though. I think they're fairly inconsistent. If they're on, they are pretty good. I rate Godsend above them is all. Movie Star Riders, kind of like I was saying, I think people underestimate these guys. They live in Europe. They play versus good European teams all the time. They have decent results. They're okay. I think they're pretty good. They're not as good as these teams, but you know, like I said, majors where things happen sometimes. You know, it's the first 1 or 2 years. You never know, man. Like, do people get nervous, choke? You know, does a team have someone that they gets COVID and they have to use a stand-in? That's always a possibility. So this is such a weird land to pick. So, anyways, these are my picks. This was probably one of the worst Pickem videos you can watch, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. I don't know. I'll try to keep doing more of these if you like it. Have fun. Watch my stream. I'm going to stream the major, I think. I think I'm allowed. So I'm very unsure of myself. So, anyways, peace, boys.